What's up, YouTubes? Just hanging out over here on the college campus. About an hour before I gotta go to church. I thought I would talk about one of my favorite verses today because it's the Lord's Day here on Sunday. I want to talk about Acts 3 and 2. This passage, I'll loosely tell you about it. So there's a beggar. He's sitting outside of this temple. Or he's sitting outside of the temple gate. The Bible tells us it's called Beautiful. And this poor beggar has been lame since birth. Lame. So he can't really get up, can't walk. I haven't looked up the specific Greek for lame or anything. I'm assuming he was like paralyzed to some extent, couldn't move his legs, something like that. But anyway, Peter and John come up to this guy, and this is after the apostles are basically right after they've planted the original church, and they're trying to, spread the gospel, the good news. Jesus is who? God. So they're trying to spread this word, and that he's real, and he was here, and all this stuff, and he died for us. And this beggar is basically asking for money. But we do this often. We think we know how to solve our problems, right? And we ask for money often in this society because money buys material things, and money is power. And Peter basically tells the guy, hey, we have no money, but we do have this. Take up your mat and walk. And praise God, the man gets up and walks. This guy's been lame, it says, since birth. Peter and John, they knew what he needed. He thought he needed money. So I was talking to one of my best friends last night since childhood, man. I grew up in this guy's house, basically. Didn't grow up there, but I was there quite a bit. Might as well have. Family's like family. And I said to him, we had been talking for quite a while, and I said, I think you have the same problem I do, and a lot of people do, is we pray, and we think God didn't answer our prayers or something because we had in our head a way that he would do it. And he did it in a different way, but if we look, he really answered our prayers, right? So we do that a lot. We put God in a box in that way. I think the beggar was doing, he kept saying, I need money, I need money, I need money. And it took ministers to come along and say, nah, man, you don't need money. You're healed already. Get up, take your mat and walk. Think about that through ministry, how powerful that is. Do you want to heal people? You need to be able to look at them. God will tell you what their real need is. Their need is him. Their need is God every time. So there you go. The answer to every problem in life, God. How do we get the person there? That's it. You're a tour guide, man. You are literally a traffic director. Like, you're telling people how to get to God, and that's ministry. So a lot of people in the streets are going to be begging you for money. Here's what I know. I do know we all need food to survive. If we want to live on this earth, and Jesus knew that too, and he multiplied fishes and loaves. So I started a food ministry because that's a great way to get to somebody, their belly. You're not using them, you're using a tool that God gave you to get them to him. Because they'll ask you, well, man, I don't see any other ministers out here. This has happened to me. I try to I don't let them like spit venom at the churches around me, but I kind of felt the same way when I founded what I do, or did. I haven't been doing it lately, but feeding people. I thought nobody else is out here doing it. There's a need, and I met the need. And they're like, man, none of these other ministers are out here. It's like, don't look at me. I'm not a good minister. Don't look at them. They're not bad ministers. Look up. Look at God. The reason I do this is God. Do you really think without God, I would want to be out here just giving, especially when I didn't have it. I was given food that like My wife and I probably could have used it. We didn't have that much money. But you know, when Jesus was talking to Peter about giving, he made a comparison to this rich person comes in and gives 100 coins or whatever. And this poor woman comes in and she gives her last two coins. She gave everything. And Jesus says, hey, which one gave more? And clearly the woman gave more. She gave her everything. So I think, sometimes you give everything for him. Sometimes you give a portion. And I'm learning balance. And anyway, I wanted you to look at that verse and see the beggar and see that, number one, we are the beggar. And number two, we can be the apostle too in that situation. Just because you're a beggar doesn't mean you can't be an apostle, a minister to somebody else. I wouldn't call myself apostle, although if you look up the definition, we all kind of are. It really means like a missionary planting churches. But if we look up, what the Baptists think is you had to have a face-to-face encounter with Jesus. But then again, Paul, he had an encounter with the risen Jesus. So I'll tell you what, be careful. Be careful who you tell didn't have an encounter with Jesus. Because if you think he's not working today, he is. And he's working on my friend. And I talked to him yesterday, and I know for a fact he has had an encounter. And I have too. And people will try to steal that from you. They will call you delusional. They'll think you had mental illness. They'll think you're on drugs. They think you're coming off of alcohol. They'll think all these things. And they will try to discredit you. So I won't tell you to be cautious sharing your experiences. Just be prepared. They will try to take your testimony from you because the enemy works through the people around you. But this is a long video, so I'm going to cut it. Acts 3:2, go read it and see if you see it from a different perspective now. Or maybe I didn't add anything you already knew. But I want to reinforce you. I love you. God bless.